Hey, this is Kaizoku Uncharted, where a couple of siblings sell the vast sea of anime. If you think this is the crew for you, set sail with us each week. I'm Jakia.
And Justin. And we're going to talk about those biscuit-headed kids. Jakia, what's the full name of this show?
Okay, a journey through another world, raising kids while adventuring. I think that's funny that you said, biscuit-headed kids, but that's nowhere in the title, so it's not like...
They have some pretty big heads. Is there
They're five, but okay.
Is there a synopsis?
Yes, there is. Okay. So, due to a careless mistake, God of Wind Syl, or we're just going to call him Syl for short, unintentionally kills a 28-year-old man named Takumi. Unfortunately, Syl cannot return Takumi to Earth. Instead, the deity reincarnates him into the fantasy world of Ateldia. Equipped with an assortment of magical powers and bottomless inventory, Takumi spawns in the forest of Gaia, where high-level monsters roam free. There he meets 5-year-old twins who, despite the dangerous environment, are still alive thanks in part to their extraordinary physical strength. He decides to take them under his wing and names them Alan and Elena, and the trio embarks on their grand adventure in this world. Okay. So there you go.
All right. So...
I liked this show. I thought it was a chill, calm... It was a nice watch, okay? I felt like it was a wholesome watch. It wasn't anything crazy.
Sure.
I feel like he's just like, he was minding his own business.
Right.
Literally, he got taken out. Then he got, reincarnated in another world. And then he comes across some twins, and he's just like, y'all shouldn't be out here. And then he's like, I'm going to take care of these kids. Because, he does the right thing by them. He doesn't even know them. But, I like this show. I thought it was a good show. I thought it was a nice show to watch. As like a back burner.
Sure.
It was consistent. It has all the tropes that you would imagine. Like, main character misses like their home, their home world's food, and then, they go
cook it,
change the culinary scene of the entire world, which has become a trend now. I would say in the past couple of shows, like, that's been the thing.
What's that kid's name?
Takumi?
Takumi.
Yes.
See, now that's the trope. There's a lot of Takumis.
That is true. There are like, wait. Was the slime one with those ratchet slimes, is his name Takumi too?
I'm not sure. I just know recently Takumi is the name of the greatest apprentice.
I mean, alchemist of all time?
Yeah, greatest alchemist.
I mean, according to you last episode, you were just like, he is. It's pretty true. I feel like he is, yeah.
Let's just say that was foreshadowing.
Okay. Considering the title, so I'm like, whatever.
So.
Okay,
Takumi, got it. So, this show, my notes are just kind of all over the place. That's what tends to happen when it's some too many shenanigans going on, in my opinion.
Okay.
Now, like one thing for sure is I know I'm sure you have this and you can give us a backstory because I kind of just jotted down cliff notes at this point. Dominic is the worst. I figured so. So I guess this Dominic guy is probably the worst. If Kia has it her way. Now is Dominic? I believe he was the.
He's awful. He picked a fight with those kids.
Hey.
He was like, what are they doing in this guild? Immediately. And then, I'm glad that...
Valid questions?
I mean, I feel like it's valid questions, but at the end of the day, they weren't even doing it. It's not like it would be different if these kids were like running around.
Sure.
Unsupervised. Right. But they were right by their adults. Being quiet and calm, waiting patiently at the teller desk, at the receptionist desk. They're minding their own business. And then he just started a fight with like 5-year-old twins. That's crazy.
Now the pacing was out of hand.
This was pretty wild.
I was like, an expedition this early. Like this is it's happening pretty quick.
I mean, well, considering where we were like teleported to, it's on brand.
Now, I made the mistake.
Okay.
Listening to the intro. And
Okay.
I heard this intro,
Mm-hmm.
and I put in immediately. My thought was, we are not doing this. So
Okay.
that was my immediate thought after hearing this intro.
What did you think we weren't gonna do?
This.
Okay.
So, and I needless to say, did not listen to this intro.
Okay.
Anymore.
Got it.
Not gonna play these games. Okay. Now.
I mean, it's everything you see. We got all the creatures.
I'll get there.
Okay.
Come episode 4.
Okay.
Now, or episode 3, one of the two. Now, a lot of questions started coming out.
Okay.
Where did we get this tent all of a sudden? There was this magical tent.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there was no explanation of these specific special items given to us. He's just whipping out a tent.
Okay.
I didn't care for that. Now, I also didn't care for some of the stunts they were pulling. That's what I'm talking about, the shenanigans.
Okay.
Like, we meet this small, I'm just going to call it what it is, a small onyx.
Okay.
You know, I'm not playing this game. You know, now, there were some things I appreciated.
Okay.
Like, when we go in the dungeon, we spend days there.
We do spend days there.
Okay. I'm okay with that.
It's appropriate dungeon etiquette, because in some other shows, people just like in and out.
You know, this was, I was like a dungeon grind, and I said, I don't know if this is going to save this show, but all right.
Okay.
You know, but this is when it started, more shenanigans. A Fenrir, you know, usually known as a, I don't want to say mythical, a rare or legendary beast.
Yes, okay, yes.
Is now a pet.
I mean, well, hold on. Let's back it up here for a second. Okay. Yes, I'm going back all the way back to your tent situation.
Okay.
We have to remember the fact that like Sil was like, "Hey, I messed up, so I'm gonna give you everything that you need."
Right.
So I feel like the tent is his part of everything that he needs.
Apparently.
Because Sil was like, "Hey, I'm not even gonna pretend that there's a way to send you back. Like that's not an option.
Sure.
So you here." So I feel like he's just providing him with everything that he needs. And then you're talking about shenanigans. Say what you want. These 5-year-old kids are actually holding their own. They're not caught. They're active participants. They're not holding anybody back.
Well, he doesn't want them to participate.
He doesn't want them to. But when they do, they're doing damage.
Sure.
They're helpful in dungeons in terms of directions and all types of things. Like, you know, they're not your regular biscuit-headed kids that aren't helpful in these adventurous world. Okay? They're not in the sense of like, we're adventurers. They're adventuring, okay?
Sure.
They're handling business, Justin, and they listen when they listen when they're supposed to. Like he's like, hey, bring it back. They're just like, cool, got it. Say less. Like they were gonna end Dominic in that guild. Like they were ready to like they were like the foot was coming down in unison. Okay.
Now,
but this goes back because you're just like we're getting things as pets. Okay? I feel like you're on the same grind as Sil. He's just like, all these other, you know, gods and goddesses are just like, hey, we're going to also, like, get involved in this story to make sure that you have everything that you
But why?
These are excellent questions. Like, because my main question is, like, where's the father at? Where's the father of these two twins? Like, where's the parents? What's going on?
Now, listen.
Okay?
I'll let you take the lead. And then that way...
I don't need to take the lead. It's fine. I'm just like... I mean, you're
And well, instead of you backtracking...
Okay.
Because my notes are going to be vague, straight to the point for these episodes.
Okay, well, keep going. It's fine. I'm just letting you
And then that way I could just chime in on what you got to say. Because, like, based on... again, the shenanigans... Listen, are they well-mannered children?
Yes.
Sure.
Okay.
You know... Are they useless? No. I'm not saying they're... What's that little girl named? Yuri? I think that was her name.
Yeah.
I'm not saying they're Yuri. You know?
It. Okay.
Do they have biscuit heads?
Yes.
Yes.
They
okay.
do,
So that's why I called them it.
100%.
I'm not here to act like these kids are not beneficial.
I'm just saying, in the past and other shows...
Sure.
Even in one of the current shows of the season, Guild Receptionist, you're just like, she's giving big head energy, okay? In the sense
she's got a huge head.
She's got a huge head. But I'm just saying that's normally your go-to thing when the character is like unmanageable, up to no good, not helpful, all these things. I'm just like, hey, granted, they have big heads. They're 5, but they're not They're not your regular biscuit-headed people.
This is anime. I'm basing things off of what I see.
I'm just saying, man.
Not what I read. This isn't a manga. Okay, I'm watching it.
Okay, you're watching.
So I got big heads here.
Okay, keep
now,
going.
What was the problem? I don't care for that little Onyx. Okay. Like, I'm surprised Pokemon hadn't did something about this. Or they're just cool with it. And then, like you hinted at, we start getting more S-rank familiars, added to our group. And these other guys were also dropping off other items, and it was kind of getting a little bit OP. I'm like, this is getting out of hand.
It was definitely getting out of hand.
Now, started to pick up a little bit.
Okay.
This Viper, we run into this Viper.
That was crazy.
I was like, the Viper's pretty tough.
Yeah.
And somebody was watching us.
The whole time.
And I didn't appreciate that. Now, once again, we got a candidate for another worst participant. This slave trader, he showed up in the city. He was the worst.
Yes.
I was like, we were leaving the city. I said, all right. We started getting a little bit of answers. Because, again, the pace is just nuts. So we somehow go to this underwater city.
That was pretty crazy. It happened all of a sudden.
To mermaids, pearls are trash, but we were giving them. I was like, all right, good, cool, I guess. And we learned to control water magic. We at least, we meet another legendary creature.
It's true. I thought
a Leviathan.
I was like, man, are we going to get a Leviathan? I was like, that's not possible.
See, I just took it as, I was like, all right, the fun and games is finally over. Okay. I was like, this Leviathan's about to put everybody down. Okay. And that's it. But no. We find out a whole backstory. Leviathan was supposed to take care of these kids.
I know. So I was like, what happened?
So then it's like, where's the mom? Where's the dad?
Right.
Then, of course, there's a water labyrinth because we in this water place.
Okay. At least it's keeping in the theme. It's like, hey, we underwater labyrinth, underwater dungeon.
It's just kept happening. Like the next episode, we start cooking new food. Cooking falls in the fire guy's domain. We discover an undiscovered labyrinth. At least in this area, the lord of this area is Isaac's brother. Like, I'm like, how many of these labyrinths is going unchecked?
Apparently a lot. Because that receptionist, Karen, was like so loud about it. She was just like shouting. And I was like, isn't this supposed to be like, a hush-hush thing? It was wild. I mean, yeah.
Hey, that's what I'm like, the usual start happening. We discover labyrinth. We get rewarded. We get usual rewards. Stuff that you can only get from like normal people, not these gods.
Right.
Yes. We start meeting our cooking is so divine, that one head chef wanted to become our apprentice. What's a show without bandits? We find some bandits, defeat them, save women and children. That's what normally happens when you fight bandits. And then when I watched episode 12, I was just like, okay, another season. Like that like they started essentially, that was the only positive. Okay. Because they was running off against the coastline, I was like, it's almost like Rain in the Sunset. I'm like, it's either over or there's another season. And like, since we ain't truly get all the answers for these kids' parents,
we truly didn't get any.
It's probably another season.
I mean, I'm glad, in that last episode, like, Takumi was, debating whether or not he was going to leave Alan and Lena there.
Sure.
Because he's like, hey, they need to be around other kids. Like, he's because like you said earlier, he doesn't really want them that involved in this adventure in life like that. Because they're kids. And, Alan and Lena were just like, no, we're a unit. This is what we're doing. So, the group wasn't broken up. So I thought that was great. I hope it gets another season. I feel like this is just like a nice chill show. It's nothing too crazy. It has all the tropes. You listed it. It's fine. We had the bandits. We had goblins in the second episode. It's just, it's a good show. I enjoyed it. I don't think it was anything outrageous.
Okay. Right.
I feel like, I appreciated, what it was doing. Definitely needed more answers. I hope one day that, Takumi becomes the Win disciple that Syl truly needs. Who's not, the favorite of everybody else. Because apparently Syl's having a hard time with his discipleships that's going on. But yeah.
We'll probably meet other disciples.
I don't think so. I don't think we're going to find any other disciples,
of other gods?
Not this.
Sylvie's, but
no, I don't think so. Because if so, why are we then why did we get those magical mythical beasts? I feel like
so with that logic, then we're everyone's disciple?
Apparently, I think that's just what it is. Because if the fire god had a disciple, why would he give the wind disciple one of his mythical beasts? I just that doesn't.
He's got stronger ones.
I don't think so. I feel like Vector is it.
Vector defeated the bandits, right?
I know, that was the name of the episode. Vector did a good job. And Jewel be forever hating on Vector, but that's fine.
They be talking.
You're not happy with the familiars being able to speak?
Look, seems like some shenanigans. But alright.
So to you, this show is nothing but shenanigans.
It's a lot of them.
It's a lot of them. Okay, so how did you feel about the knights when we first started off? Was that nothing but shenanigans too?
Not it. It might not have been important enough to discuss. Apparently, I don't see nothing here about them.
Your notes.
I don't see nothing here about them. Like you said, I'm not here to diminish the show.
I just feel like you don't like the show, and that's fine. Not everybody.
I feel like it's for children. It's for kids.
It's an appropriate show. I feel like I think it's a good isekai that's slow and steady. It's not slow.
It gave you everything. It gave you the whining hired being who was complaining, why is all these other guys giving my disciple stuff?
Yeah.
It was time. I feel like I could have with this logic, just give me another cooking in another world, and then we.
That's in another season.
As it should. Now that makes sense.
And that show has a Fenrir, which is definitely mythical and magical.
His makes more sense.
Is his name also Takumi?
I'm not sure.
Oh man, I'm just but that's gonna be a good season.
Well, I don't know how much more you can do here.
Okay.
Just keep cooking. All right, well, listen.
All right, well, cool. All right, so that's a journey through another world, raising kids while adventuring. I thought it was nice, because you don't really get to see, these adventurers, raising kids while they're adventuring, because some people
it's not done.
Because it's not done, they just leave the kids at home.
As they should be. That's where they safe. They getting wages. They getting the parent works for the funds, that way they can get fed and have a roof over their head. They ain't in the front line.
Like I said, I feel like it's a different take, different spin, and I liked it. I thought it was fine. I enjoyed the show. But Justin said it's just a whole bunch of shenanigans. Well, let us know what you think of the show, and that's this week's episode of Kaizoku Uncharted.